All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. This one is a very special video. These student interviews are some of the best content on the channel by far for most of you. Very few of you don't get life-changing, business-changing value and input from these videos. So Collin Turner has been with us for just about a year. So really right around when I started educating on this stuff. So he was one of the first to kind of come through. And it took him a while, and he's honest about it. It took him a long time. He had all kinds of unnecessary issues that he ran into. But he's recently passed the $10,000 monthly mark profit with his agency. And he's in the e-commerce niche, for those of you curious. And we're gonna go into this interview really asking him a few key things, like, what were some of the big struggles you were having when you were growing? What's your best advice for beginners? What does your agency look like? How do you get clients? How do you sell? Stuff like that. And you're hopefully by the end of this interview going to see truly how important it is to, one, dive in not knowing anything and just take a huge jump forward. Two, get the right help from the right people. He joined our program and went hard with it and made no excuses. And that's why he's able to do what he's able to do today. And three, be willing to adjust based on new issues that you run into and new problems that you face. And there is no one right or wrong way to do it. And you'll learn that from Collin. We'll even notice some differences in how he runs his agency, and some things that I do differently than he does, and that he does differently than I do. And it's probably going to be valuable for you guys because you'll see, that there is no one right way to do it. There are so many ways to do it. And if you are reliant on one person to tell you exactly how to do it, you're probably thinking wrong. So by the end of this interview, I hope you have learned more in depth some of those points, plus plenty of others. So get a pen and a notepad and watch this video in full to the end. And one thing I want you to do as well, once you've watched it to the end, gather your thoughts and share in the comments exactly what you learned so that Collin can see, how he's impacted some of you guys with his success so far. So without further ado, I'm gonna cut straight to the interview with my student and good friend, Collin Turner. Thanks for joining us, man. What's up, Collin? Welcome to the channel, man.
Hey, Trey, what's going on, dude?
Not much, man. Congrats, dude. It's freaking cool. $10,000 a month, man. How does it feel, bro?
Dude, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did it all from my bedroom, which is also nice. So
yeah, that's kind of weird.
And I'm making more money than most people do.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah, it's cool, man. So I think people watching this will have probably watched a couple of the interviews before and sort of seen the gist. If you haven't, I'm just asking open-ended questions, and I just want Collin to, as openly share his experience in our program and his experience growing his agency. So if you don't mind, Collin, because you've got a pretty awesome story, just kind of starting from this, start from the beginning here, what got you into this? What were your core motivations? And we'll start getting more in depth as to what exactly you're doing, how you've scaled, and how you've taken our material and made it your own and made it work. So just start from the beginning, man. What got you started?
So the first thing that got me started was just a year ago, I graduated high school, and I didn't want to go to college, and I didn't want to work in the oil field or anything like that. So I just was like, I know that people are making money online, and I'm going to learn how to do it too. And I'd seen your YouTube videos, and I was watching them, and I knew I needed a mentor or somebody to kind of take my hand and show me what to do. So that's when I reached out to you, and we worked out the deal that we worked out. And that was kind of the first starting point. And as time went on, I got better. I just got better and better at what I was doing. So I failed a lot in the beginning and just, was trying to navigate really the entire industry. And I don't know, over time, I feel like I just got better and better. And then I was able to make better posts for the Facebook groups. I was able to get people on sales calls. And then now I'm able to actually close people on sales calls. And on top of that, I've gotten a lot better at media buying and actually helping my clients out. So it's kind of this huge spiral of things.
Yeah. It really is kind of like a feedback thing. It gets easier and easier as you go, because more successes turn into more successes, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a cool book I read. It's called
Compound Effect,
Like,
maybe?
the Slight Edge.
Slight Edge. Yeah, that's a good book.
So and it just talks about if you want to succeed, just double your rate of failure. Basically, so like
Yeah,
over time, the more you fail, like the easier things get because then you just know what to do.
yeah,
Uh,
for
so
sure.
that's what I would say to the people that are looking to jump into SMMA.
Yeah,
Kind of this as a whole is like you just got to be okay with failing a
yeah,
lot. Because I know there's a lot of people that join programs and stuff, and they don't even show up to calls. They don't show up to anything, and they don't show up at all,
yeah,
really. Like they don't try to get help. And I think with my mindset when I first joined, um, is just I was gonna just do. I was gonna do something. I was gonna do whatever you told me, and then if it didn't work, um, I was able to say, "Hey, this didn't work. What can I do to make it better?" And I think that's what helped me grow. Is just I was able to fail and then figure out why I failed, and then not do that again. But failing is
total
part of
learning.
it. You have to fail. So that kind of be my tip is don't be afraid to fail because you're going to.
Yeah,
And that's anything in life. You just got to be okay with it.
yeah. I heard this phrase recently that I really liked called, it was, I'm sure you've heard this before, Colin, like massive action. I heard like a version of it that I like more. It's like take imperfect action. Imperfect action. Just take action. You don't need it to be perfect. Just go. And I think you're a great example of this analogy that I've been telling a lot of the students in the community as well, which is like there's two people on speedboats. One is like adjusting his speedboat, trying to aim it just right, so that when he revs the engine, he ends up at this island, like straight shot to this island, which is like 100 miles away or whatever. The other guy just gets going, right, and he just starts, and he's bouncing around, he's going the wrong ways, he's hitting waves, but he's gonna end up there years before the first guy does, because you can't aim from over here. It's too far away, and I think most people spend their time aiming. And you're one of the guys who's just like, forget, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna figure out this program along the way. I'm gonna fill in the gaps myself. I'm gonna ask good questions. That's where I think you succeeded.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what my personality, anyways, is more levitated towards that. I mean, I grew up, so I always like to make sports comparisons. So I grew up playing baseball, and one of the biggest things in baseball, if you want to be a good baseball player, is you have to learn that you're gonna fail a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you fail 7 out of 10 times in the MLB, you're gonna be a Hall of Famer, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to think that way, um, because even in school, you're not taught that. If you fail 7 out of 10 times in school, you're not going anywhere. Um, and it's just one of those things where it's like you have to fail. If you don't fail, then you're not winning.
Mhm.
Like you need to be failing. So
Yeah.
especially when you first start, you just got to jump in. And
Yep.
I like to say, ready, fire, aim, and just go.
Yeah. I
And
love it, dude.
you just piece stuff together, and then it gets really easy as you move forward.
Yeah. And I was listening to this audiobook recently. I recommend it to anybody listening. It's just like it's called the Jim Rohn Library. If you know Jim Rohn, I don't know if you do, Colin, but it's like 30 hours of Jim Rohn's best seminars. And one of the things he talked about recently is like just this. He talks about like he asked like a school of like kids who were like 6, 7, 8 years old, like how long should you give a baby before he learns how to walk? And they were all like, what kind of a question is that? He's gonna try until he can walk. There's no limit. It's like if you don't get it done by year one, you're never allowed to walk. Stop trying. Like that's not how we treat babies. We have like a standard as humans that we're going to figure that out. Like walking inherently, we're gonna figure it out. And if you have that same mindset towards any project, you will figure it out. If your standard is at the level that you want your project to succeed at, you will figure it out. Just like walking, you know. There's no limit you give yourself. There's no like, oh, I've been doing it for 6 months. I should probably like babies don't say that to themselves, you know. Babies are smart enough not to know that. So I love that analogy, and I think that's one of the things you did really well. So let's get into some specifics, man. So really, what's your niche? Who are you serving? Give us the model of your agency, and tell us a bit about your sales process and everything. Just kind of start wherever you feel is most valuable. But I think people are going to want to know more technical as well about exactly what's going on your end.
Yeah. So technically, like I help e-commerce brands, which in my opinion is the hardest niche to start in, just because the learning curve is really, really big. Because not only do you have to learn the social media marketing side where you actually get clients and close clients and things like that, But a huge part of e-commerce is the actual media buying side. Because it's just high level. There's ecom brands are spending the most on Facebook. They're looking for the highest returns. You're optimizing for conversions, which is really, really expensive. So that's kind of the niche I'm in. And basically, what the model is I'm in these Facebook groups, and I have these posts that I create, which is the OMA posts, where it just showcases my authority. And most of the time, there's like some kind of revenue screenshot on it. And I say, hey, this is what we did in this X amount of time. I'm going to break it down for you guys. This is how we did it. Right. And I'm really transparent with my posts.
Yeah.
And I just let everybody know, hey, this is what we did. Basically, if you read my posts and you're an e-commerce brand, you could copy it and pretty much be doing what we do for clients, honestly.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So from there, I've had posts that have over 200 likes and like 100 something comments. Basically what I do is I take the people who liked it or commented on it, and I message them. So I reach out to them. I say, hey, saw that you like my post in this group. And then you just start having conversations with people, and you can be like, hey, how's business? Some people, might open up right away and say, hey,
and you're really developing these relationships and moving to sales calls, right? And that's where you bring them on as a client.
Yeah. So we build those relationships, talk to them.
Yeah.
And you try to figure out, what they're struggling with early on, like in the messenger.
Yeah.
I don't go into huge detail or anything with them.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I could probably help this person. I'll tell them, hey, I could probably help you out. Would you like to set up a call? And then from there, we set up the call, and then we move into, actually selling the service and getting them into the agency. So that's kind of the model of it, how it works.
Yeah, and that's what we've been teaching from the start. And we call it, he said OMA at some point. I think he just heard me say, yeah, we're doing OMA posts, organic market attraction. It's just using like platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, building the platform, getting people coming to you. It's like the easiest way. It's like you, and that begs the question though, Colin. Like I guarantee I'm gonna get this comment if I don't ask it. I almost don't want to ask it, but I guarantee I'll get this comment if I don't. How'd you get your first client?
It was OMA.
Yeah.
I made a post in a group, and then I actually didn't even reach out to that lady. She reached out to me. That's kind of the frame you get when you make those posts. You have a lot of people that reach out to you, but you still should reach out to people that like your posts and things like that. But even as soon as they respond to you, they're in your frame. So that's the beauty behind it is I'm not cold emailing or cold calling people begging for clients. I've actually leaned just really far out. Like when it comes to my messenger conversations and stuff, I don't place a lot of value on them. I'm like really leaned out, and I kind of don't care if I get them on a call or not, which is part of it too. You have to move to that point, because if you care too much, you won't ever close clients. So I like to make the analogy. It's like dating girls in high school. Like a lot of people say that.
I make the analogy too often. Yeah, I get picked on for it, but it's so true.
But like, so, like the guys who just tried to get girls all the time, just tried super, super hard to date girls, they never had a girlfriend. It was always the guys that literally didn't care if they had a girlfriend or not, that all the girls liked them. So it's the same way with clients is, you got to lean super far out and just not care. Like I'll even say, like I closed a client, it was a couple weeks ago. We had a follow-up call, and he said he wanted to change the pricing. And I asked him why, because sometimes people need to change the pricing because they really can't, put down, whatever I wanted them to put down. And there's some logistics in the way, but maybe 2 days, 3 days from now, they can give me the rest of the money or something like that. And I'm fine working deals out with that. But that guy just didn't want to pay me. He wanted to see if he could just finagle the deal. And I literally told him, I said, dude, honestly, I'm not making you do this. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but my price is whatever my price was. And that's what I told him. And it might be weird to say that to a client, because, that's kind of a harsh thing to say, or like, it's like, oh, you don't want to say that. You don't want to lose them. But you say something like that, it makes them come after you. And I was like, dude, I don't really care. Like, just if you want to do it, let's do it. If you don't, let's don't. I've got other people to talk to.
Yeah.
it's like a really good position to be in because you can really leverage that on calls. And it's
Yeah.
harder when you first start out because you feel like nobody wants to talk to you. So then you're constantly trying to get conversations, but you have to work your brain into getting out of that frame and
Yep.
redirect it to like, I'm the one in charge and there's people that want to talk to me. It's
Yeah.
not just one person that, you know, my
Yeah.
rest of my life depends on. It's really, you just got to lean super far out.
Right. So that being said, like how much of your success do you feel like you equate to that mindset that you're talking about?
I think a lot, it's part of it. Obviously, you have to get good at making posts and things like that. Um, and that's one of those things too, where it comes with, taking action because that stuff's easy to fix. Like the technical stuff, it just requires you taking action, failing and fixing it. But it's the mental stuff that takes longer because you really do. You have to rewire your brain to think differently. And you have to, the philosophy behind what you're doing is more important than what you're actually doing. So you have to learn the right mindset. And that takes a little bit longer because you can't just think a certain way and then something happens and be like, oh, I need to change it. It's a lot longer of a process and you have to train your brain to think differently. And that's kind of the thing too, is like, because people get caught up on the technical and it's like, dude, you're wasting your time. Like you should be failing, fixing it and getting that figured out right away. So you can start focusing on the mental stuff because that's the part that's hard is that stuff. And it takes longer to fix.
Yeah. The only problems I run into in my business right now are mental problems. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with, there's literally nothing keeping me from doing like 200, 300 grand a month right now. It's just what's in my head. Like when you get aware of that, it opens your eyes, man. So like that's one of the things that I'm glad we focused on in the program too, is just putting that, making you realize like what actually matters, what actually moves the needle, and how it's like just all up here. So of course you get all the technical, you get everything you need, you get a full program, recorded coaching calls, everything like that. But like to actually sit down and be like, holy cow, like what's going on up here actually is what matters. That's how we get good results for people. It's just like getting them thinking, right? I think that's what got you.
Yeah.
Like,
And once I like understood that better, after I closed, because I was getting clients, when I really started getting clients, it was in January. And I closed like 2 or 3 or something. I don't even remember.
mhm,
Even then, I still struggled with some mental stuff. And then it was like, I don't know, it was almost like this month, I kind of just didn't care if I got clients or not. And I was just like, I can help people. And if they want my help, we can do it. If they don't want it, then they don't need, like, it's their loss.
yeah, right.
So, so once I've shifted into that, like, it's really easy to just, I don't know that I like, it's easy to know that I'm getting 1% better every day. Like, you kind of just wake up and you're like, all right, who am I going to talk to today? And you're not worried at all about like what's going to happen next. Like there's no anxiety there at all.
Yep. I love that, dude. So like so we've kind of talked about like where you started. We're kind of talking about now. Like, do you mind sharing some of are there any major issues? Let's say you wanted to double the client base you've got and you wanted to scale. Like, what issues are you currently running into that are keeping you from scaling so people can kind of understand like where your brain is at? Like, just kind of like where is your head at right now is kind of the question I'm asking. Does that question make sense?
Yeah. So, like right now, I don't feel complacent. Like I want to keep going. Like I actually posted last week and I've got some people to follow up with, and try to get on calls. Like I'm still wanting to move people to sales calls. Um, but I guess the biggest bottleneck right now is probably like back end. There's a lot of things that break on the back end when you do run ads, and especially in ecom. Something will work for like a week, and the next week it just won't work at all. So, and I think like I'm really good at the media buying side of things, of like putting the ad sets together and which audiences to target and things like that. Um, but now I need to be moving more towards like real marketing instead of just ad hacks and tweaking and things like that, because especially in ecom people think it's like how you structure your campaigns that really lead you to success, but it's not. It's that's a big part of it. Like you need to know how to do that, but that's kind of just like the standard. Like you should know how to do that, but you'd be surprised how many people don't and they mess that all up. So which is really nice because we're able to we're following a process that we know works, and it's like we can compare somebody's ad account to what the process should be. Like, okay, we need to change these things up. But then once you have that in place, you got to move more towards, okay, now we're doing real marketing. We're talking to real people and trying to get real people to buy this product. Like, it's not just in the computer. So I'm trying to move my mindset more towards how can I really like market better for my clients, because we have the ad side down, and you can have the ad side down and have okay marketing and do okay, but I want to get the best results for all my clients. So I'm moving more towards that real marketing, speaking the language, writing copy that converts really well, and helping them put together videos and creatives that are going to work really good for them. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is dialing in our back end, especially with my contractor, and making sure that everybody's getting taken care of, and that we're marketing the right way. And at the same time, trying to systemize it to where I'm not, in the ad account 24/7.
Right.
Because that happens. So, and that's the thing too, is, sometimes you have to have days where you're in the ad account a lot, trying to figure stuff out, so you can figure it out and go, okay, now I'm going to move it to this kind of system. So I can send a video to my contractor and be like, hey, on these days, check this, and do this, if I find that I'm doing that constantly. But it takes me having to do it constantly for maybe a little bit and then smoothing it out. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just making sure that our back end is just super, super dialed in for everybody that comes in with us.
Nice. So what were some of the biggest hangups you had coming up? It sounds like you kind of hit one of the biggest one, which was mindset issues and just like feeling too attached to the sale. I don't know, maybe hit that if you feel like it's the biggest one, but if there's another one that you feel like was in the way, keeping you from succeeding or keeping you from getting to 10 grand a month, which is like everybody's goal, man. Every time, like, everybody's goal is 10 grand a month. So you're basically like, you've hit what 90% of people who start like want to hit. Mm-hmm. So what were the biggest challenges? And then kind of follow that up with like, what were the moments where you realized like, yeah, this could work and I'm going to make this work,
Yeah. So I think one of the first challenges that like I encountered was, I didn't really think that the Facebook groups were going to work, because my whole thing was, if an e-commerce brand is doing really good, which are the clients that I want to be working with, other higher level e-commerce brands, like, why would they be in Facebook groups all day? Why would they be on Facebook? Like, I felt like they would be busy with other stuff. So at first I was caught up on the strategy of getting clients. Like, I didn't understand. I just didn't think it would work for me. Like, I wasn't thinking it was going to work for me. In reality, it was just, I was making bad posts, or posts that didn't really talk to the pains of the market. So it was like, once I switched over and started making better posts, then it was people started coming towards me. So it works for any niche that you're in. Like, no matter what, as long as you're speaking to the pains of the market and helping them solve problems in your posts, you're gonna start attracting people.
Yeah.
If you're not, then it's probably your posts are probably bad, basically. So it's like, I think that was one of the biggest ones, because I know we had talked about it a lot, because I had even moved over to Upwork and I was trying to get clients on Upwork, and that didn't work either. So I was thinking it was the technicality of stuff, but it really wasn't. I think it was just the quality of my posts. So once my posts got better, that really, really helped. And then I think, honestly, the biggest thing for me was the media buying, because when I very first started, like, I had no idea how to buy ads for an e-com brand. And I was thinking, I was just going to hand stuff off and it was all going to be, hunky dory. And it's not at all. You have to have some kind of system to follow. That way you're not, getting a client and then just wasting all their money because you have no idea what you're doing. That's not helpful to anybody. So I think one of the biggest like aha moments was when I was given a system and I was able to just follow it. So especially for ecom, because ecom's tough, and it's really hard to media buy for. So I think dialing in that process was super, super helpful. And then that was able to help my mindset of, okay, I can do this, because now I have something that I know is going to work, basically. Right. Instead of like, I hope this works, or I hope that works, or I hope we do this right.
I hope.
because when you're in that kind of state of mind, like there's just so much uncertainty there. And even when you're talking to people, even in Messenger or on sales calls, people know if you're uncertain, and it's hard to be certain if, you know, deep down you really are uncertain about what's going to happen even if you did close this client, because you don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I was definitely there at some point too, where it's just like to be honest, I was just selling and I wasn't even certain about like if it was like a good like package or not, or if they could even get results. So I had to push through that, and it all turned out okay. But there's definitely clients that we could have gotten better results. I think everybody goes through that at some point of just like, all right, let's just like you said earlier. What was it? Ready, shoot, aim.
ready, yeah, it's just ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. Yeah, same thing. So then what? At what point? What level did you reach where you were like, all right, this could work? And maybe that's been recently because you just hit 10 grand a month. But at what point did you see like, all right, like your suspicions kind of rose? Because everybody's got like a little suspicion when they're starting their own thing. Like, is this really even going to work? So at what point did you cross over? Because you don't get to 10 grand a month not being certain.
Yeah. So I think I started being really certain. When I reached a point of like 100% certainty, it was probably in April. But when my suspicions just got raised a little bit and I was like, oh, maybe this will work, it was probably more in like January or December, late December.
What caused those feelings?
Well, the first one was, so in December, I made a post that did really well. And I was like, oh, people actually do like are in these groups and like care about these posts and things like that. So that was like the first one. And then in April, well, because March, when the coronavirus hit and everything, I pretty much took like a month off. I didn't really do anything. I was just trying to gauge and see what everything was going to do. And then we went on vacation because plane tickets were cheap with my family. And we ended up actually getting stuck in Hawaii for like a couple weeks. So I was just chilling in Hawaii.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
So then we were, I don't know, I came back and then I just made another post, another really good post, and it just blew up. And everyone messaged me, and I was like, yeah, this stuff, like I could totally do this, you know, easy. I can get it taken easy. So
people don't realize how accessible clients are. Like when you get on the other side of thinking, you start thinking, because the typical train of thinking is push, get that first client. But when you get on the other side and literally you just internalize that clients are accessible and ready to pay you at any time. You just have to have a conversation with them. Like and you implement that feeling of ease. You know, I don't know if you've watched it, but we put it in the course recently. I broke down that $10,000 sale. Like this client didn't even know me, and within like 36 hours, you know, paid me 10 grand. You know, just random person online. So whether it's Facebook groups or LinkedIn lead gen, YouTube, running ads to get clients, whatever inbound process you're using, I just think people don't understand how powerful it is to know the pain points of your niche and your market and use content in any form to get them to engage with you. That clients are so accessible. And I think that's really the main technical shift I think a lot of people need to implement listening to Collin's story is that. Would you agree with me there, man?
yeah, man, 100%.
Yeah.
You don't
Clients are,
really, you know, grind out getting a client. Like you don't have to push, because it is a little exhausting doing that. And I had to train myself to get out of that. You know, like that's why it took me a year to get to 10K. And that's the other thing too, and that's the other thing too, is like I never gave up. It was like I never quit. And there were times when I had no idea what was going to happen next. I had no idea, you know, what I was going to do, and I just kept doing it. So
yeah. And that's how it is, man. Even at my stage, bro. Like I have days where I'm like, what on earth am I doing? It's like, and I think everybody has those days. Like, don't get sold on this idea of total certainty. Total certainty doesn't exist for anyone. No business owner has total certainty. But you do have the most important measure is your ability to adapt and how creative you are. And if you are good at adapting, you're creative, and you're willing to test things to their limit and make sure that something does or doesn't work, then you'll be able to figure most things out.
100%.
Yeah. So what's your long-term goal? Like, where do you see this thing in, like, let's say a year? Like, you've in a year you've gotten from zero, like real zero. You were at like zero zero to, and I don't think you'd ever done anything your own business, right? Like you this is the first thing you've done yourself, if I'm correct.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I tried drop shipping in like high school, but
Yeah. Right. Right. Besides that, I guess
everybody did that. Everybody starts.
everybody tries that. Yeah. So raw zero or job shipping to $10,000 a month through your agency. What's the next year look like for you? You know, if you can be reasonable with yourself, or even if you've got good ambitions, like where do you think this thing will get this time next year?
I mean, I think by the time like the end of this year, I could definitely be doing 30K a month. I think that's the goal for the end of this year, is
Mm-hmm.
35K. But a whole year from now, I don't even know. Like,
Kind of hard to measure.
yeah, like I haven't even thought about it until you asked me. I
Yeah.
guess but I know my long term goal is to get to grow this to 88K, like $1 million a year, because I know I
Yeah.
can do it, even just
Yeah.
organically. Um, so it's like that's where I want to be ultimately, and then because I want to get there and have this business, and then I want to start buying. I want to start buying businesses. I want to get
Hmm.
into that. So and then maybe moving
Use it
into
as a cash machine to buy the businesses.
yeah, in a way, because there's ways you can buy businesses without cash.
Mhm.
It would just be nice to have. Okay, I've got this one asset. Now let's get two, three, four, and then
Right.
hopefully by the time I'm 30, I've got like 4 or 5 assets that are paying me money.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
that's kind
Yeah.
of the mindset of it now. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
I've barely touched the surface on that stuff.
Yeah,
So
dude. No, there's no doubt in my mind, dude, because I've seen, of course, I haven't been going hard at this for like 5 years, but I've kind of dabbled with this for 5 years, gone hard for two, right? Like literally since I was a wedding photographer. So I've seen people who are where you were at when I was 16 that are now netting like 1 million, 2 million a year, within 3 or 4 years. So it's like, yeah, that's an easy reality for you. And I think, yeah, 30s at the latest. You'll be doing that by 30. I think that's the thing is it's taking you a year to get from zero to one, because 10 grand a month for me is like step one. But bro, step two comes so easy. Like it took me a year and a half to breach six-figure yearly, and within 6 months of that, I'm where I'm at. It's like it's just been like, you
yeah,
know, so it's just like it starts getting way easier as long as you are building in leverage, and I think you're doing that pretty well. But you got to think, what's the main point of leverage that I have right now that other people don't have? What do I have a moat built around that other people haven't built a moat around yet? And just leveraging that, whatever it is, and it just gets easy. It gets easier and easier and easier.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. So I kind of want to wrap up with a few more questions. I think I'd love to hear like what is your like core most valuable advice that maybe you wish you heard when you were starting, or think back even to when you were watching my YouTube videos and hadn't taken action yet, or you saw my ads, or if somebody saw my ads or watched YouTube videos, like what you wish they would have heard, or what you wish you could have heard at that stage in your journey. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to hear. I don't know what it would be. I don't know what really comes to your mind, but is there anything there that you kind of wish you would have known or heard from someone?
Yeah, so I think just think when you asked me that question, the thing that popped into my head was just when I very first dabbled in it, I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's completely different than what I thought it was going to be like. Um, I didn't even know. Like I thought I was going to be offering Facebook ads to like businesses, basically going to businesses and saying, "Can I run Facebook ads for you?" And it's like that doesn't sell. So it was like I needed to know that. I feel like if I could tell anybody, you're going to find a niche, whether it's real estate, ecom, um, med spas, just any like whatever's out there, car dealerships, anything you can think of. Is you need to find like what those markets are struggling with. So I know, like if let's say you were going to do car dealerships and they needed leads, so it's like you wouldn't even go to them and be like, "Hey, I can generate leads for you," because that's really really vague, right? So I think what you need to have is like a very specific process that you're following that you know works for car dealerships that gets them leads. Whether that be like you generate the leads for them and then you have a software that follows up with the leads and then you have people that call the leads for the dealerships. Like that's a lot more in depth than, hey, let me run Facebook ads for you.
Right.
And I think that was like one of the biggest things. And it might not even be Facebook ads. You might be doing, you know, you might be teaching people how to get the body of their dreams or something like that. But you need to have, but instead of just selling, hey, let me help you work out, because that's super, super vague. Be like, dude, we're going to work on your upper chest for the first 6 weeks, and we're going to follow like X system. And that's marketing, you know. We're going to follow X system and build your chest, and then this. Then we're going to build your lower body, and then we're going to build your abs. And you have like, you build all of that out, and then that looks way more appealing than just, hey, let me help you work out, right? So I think going back, that was like the biggest disconnect I had when I very first started, was thinking it was going to be, hey, can I do Facebook ads for you? And instead of like, hey, you need help, or like, you know, you have somebody, hey, dude, like if it was, I like to think of the doctor-patient frame, where it's like, dude, your leg's broken. Let me help you fix it. But I'm going to use, you know, a Band-Aid. I'm going to use medicine. We're going to use pain medicine. We're going to numb your leg. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Like it's a lot more detailed than just, you know, let me help you. So I think that's the biggest disconnect that I had when I very first started. So
yeah, I think that's a huge one for a lot of people. They assume that by knowing Facebook ads or knowing some digital marketing service, that they're instantly of value to like every business. And like there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. Granted, I can help most businesses, I feel like, where I'm at. I can help most businesses. But to know a specific industry, I think what you're saying, in a way of putting what you're saying, is what we teach in the six-figure marketing consultant, which is to understand your industry holistically and understand all the moving parts of it, so that you can like understand what their bottlenecks are and what their issues are, so that you can then swoop in and be like, here's how this service fixes that. Am I on point with what you're saying?
yeah, basically, and then having like an offer of like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna do these things for you.
Right.
Like, you know, because in ecom, one of them scaling. So if somebody was like, hey, I'm having trouble scaling, I would be like, well, let me help you scale. We're going to run Facebook ads to help you scale. Like that's super.
Right.
So it's like, I tell
Broad.
them, you're going to follow my scaling process. That's called this. And then like,
You kind of package it a little bit. Right. It's interesting you say that, because I actually operate totally differently. So like I don't do packages. You know, I think you've seen my sales calls and stuff. Like I'll just listen to where they're at and figure out their goals, and then just very vaguely relate my service or product back to their goals. You
yeah,
know,
that's part
and
of
it
it.
works. It works too. So it's like there's different ways. I think the lesson you can learn there too, guys, those of you who are listening, there's no one way to do it. Like Collin used a lot of what we've got and kind of made it his own. And that's a super important mindset. So like, I'm not doing it the only way you can do it. Colin's not doing it the only way you can do it. You're gonna find agency owners out there who have a myriad of ways of attracting and selling clients, different ways of delivery. I really think it comes down to a few key things. One is being willing to fail. Two is getting out of your own way, getting out of that desperation mindset. I really feel like is a huge one, especially for Collin when he was starting. And three, just knowing your product market fit. Is what you're doing honestly of value to the marketplace that you're approaching it with? And then most of the rest of it, like that's 80% of it. I feel like I can't think of much else that really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, you summed it up. That's a lot of what really matters. So.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on, dude. I'm super proud of you. We'll be getting your line ring as soon as I figure out what your ring size is. I think you still have to get on Amazon and like get a sizing thing. So do that as soon as you can. I'll ship it out and I'll maybe like put it on Instagram that you got it or something. It'd be kind of cool.
Sounds good. I'll come hang out with you at some point.
Yeah, you got to come to Indy, man. You got to come hang out. We got to have like a little mastermind day or something. It'd be fun. Yeah. All right. Have a good one, Collin. Thanks for coming on.
See you, Trey.
Sweet.